Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 99. We are so close to the century. Amazing. This week I have managed to get some hobbying done, but I've also taken time for myself. It's been tough with Angela and Rosie not being around and not knowing if they were going to be able to get back to really kind of relax. I've been quite stressed, but this morning we found out that they are going to be able to come back, so only a couple more days and they'll be here, and it's absolutely wonderful. And that means, of course, that the model railway needs to be done, or at least I need to get what I want to do for Rosie done before 2 days pass. So yeah, as you're watching this on Sunday, they will be arriving back here tomorrow, so very, very excited. I have done a few other bits and pieces as well, a few other projects. Wrapping one or two up and starting another one, but yeah, it's been a bit of a bitty week for me personally, but certainly that I have managed to get a lot done anyway. So thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think. I always read them all, I reply to them all, I love to read them, so don't be shy, and yeah, I will see you at the end. Right, so this is all dry, the bricks are solidly in place and everything's looking good. So what you can see here is I have an array of nice bright colours. And I also have a tree. Now I was going to do a twisted wire tree, but I don't have time or the inclination or the whatever, so I picked one that I made previously, and that is going to get mounted just in there like that, and I will build up around that, so I can pull that out again, glue it in when I'm ready. But that's basically where that's going to go, and that's going to be fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along with these colours, and I'll run the camera but just put some music on while I'm doing it, because I've no idea. This is going to be completely creative, as in guesswork, to make it pop. Now I do remember that the actual device is going to go here, which is being painted at the moment. I'll give you an update on that in a bit. So I can probably play and practice in this area to work it out, but my thinking is that I'm going to paint every single brick a different colour, and then I'm going to use varnish to make it look like tiles. Now let me bring in another piece that you may have seen if you've watched more of my videos. This here is my Dungeons and Dragons character that I play on my Sunday game, which is great fun, a guy called Finball. This is his sister, as it happens, Brillette. But the point here is you can see that I did the path that they're working on multicoloured and bright. Now these were using my Vallejo colours. I've got golds and all sorts of things in there, but it's just with boat varnish over the top. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is make use of these colours and paint up all of the bricks and the stones, and then varnish it all and see what that looks like. So this could be a terrible mistake, and it could be that I throw it away, but let's see. Like I say, I'll get myself set up, point the camera in, and you can listen to some nice music while I do this. Apologies for the sound of the printer in the background. That is what the wiring is going. I've got my 3D printer working again. So what I'm going to do now, this is dried, the nice colourfulness, really pleased with it actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gloss it with the yacht varnish, which works really well, as you've seen on that other piece that I've just shown you. But do use a brush that you don't care about, because yeah, unless you've got lots of white spirit around, you are going to ruin your brush. So yeah, it's a really simple process. Just apply it on. It is oil, so it is not water based, so it should not disturb the base that's underneath and cause the colours to run. So I'll get that applied, just one thin coat, not two. One thin coat should do it, and then that will have to sit overnight to go off, because it doesn't go off very, very quickly, the yacht varnish. It does take a while. So yeah, there we are, get that done. So this tree, which I realise isn't one I made, was made by a guy I believe called Andrew Pennington for the GBHL on Facebook many years ago. I bought a whole batch and I've just got a box of them. So anyway, sorry for claiming that as my own. Anyway, this was dropping, which annoyed me. So what I've done is I've dipped it in my terrain glue, and what I've done here is put a little clamp to hold it up, and then sat it on top of a bit of tissue paper so it doesn't ruin my top. That should seal that and prevent it from dropping. So yeah, that's just wanted to say, yeah, Andrew's work, and show you the sealing. So the actual piece is looking really good. The varnish is drying. It's not dry yet, but it's drying nicely, and it's giving the effect that I want, the glisten that I want. And when that's dried, I'll start to work on the walls, and I have a good idea on that, but you'll have to wait because I haven't decided yet. But I think I know what I'm going to do. Okay, so that's now dried, and the sand texture is good. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come along and dry brush over the top with a dark brown first of all. Now the reason I'm doing this is I want it to stay a little bit kind of blasted, a little bit, I don't want it to be bright like it would be if I was coming in and doing if I'd done the sand work with this colour. It would just have been a bit too bright, and I want to have it blasted. So yeah, so I'll get this done. It'll take me a minute. I won't film it all because, well, you've seen everything I'm going to do now. Just dry brush over it, and then after that we'll have a think about what vegetation and other awesomeness to add. But you can see it's a very subtle effect, but I think it works really, really nicely. So I'll get that done, and I'll bring you back when it's finished. So I've been busy. I've painted up the fences. I might do another coat actually looking at them in this daylight, but I've decided to go for white fences because I think that'd be quite nice. I might change the colour, I'm not sure, but at the moment just white. And what I've also done, and this is pretty cool, is I've created the sign that is going to go over the gate. There we are, Redgeworth's Fishing and Boating. So I need to finish these off. If I do, I'm going to repaint. I need to put some more colour paint on that. But what I can probably do now that I know roughly where my fence line is going to go is I can actually put a little bit of gravel in and put a little path, which I want, but not. I think I'm just going to go for a slightly barer earth rather than actual gravel path. So I might just, when I'm actually applying the glue, just put it on slightly less, and then when I'm applying the static grass, just kind of rub it off with my finger just so that it looks like it's like trodden down. I'm not going to put any permanent paths in, so I can probably start to think about doing that now, and then I'll be able to fit these fences once that's down, because I want to fit the fences after I've done the static grass. The other thing that I will be able to do, or will need to do, is the fence here, which stops here, is going to need to come round to here only, because this is where the crossing is going to go to come across to the car park, which is going to start here. So I need to just run a little length of that fence here, which I'll do as well. And then probably what I want to do is run the fence to there. Now these also are still, as you've just seen, are not fixed. What I'm going to be doing on this is I'm going to look to 3D print a gate to go here. So I am going to clip this, I think, and put a gate in here for accessing to the graveyard. So there's a couple of little bits and pieces which I'm going to do. I'll probably just bring you back when they're done. I'll try to remember to put a link to the file that I found. I've not found it yet. I've not even looked for the 3D printer. But yeah, next update should see static grass over here, and we'll be starting to look at putting the fence up and mounting the sign. Okay, so The distillery thing has been painted. I'm really pleased with it actually. I've gone with some like colour shift paints, a lot of silver, a lot of metallic blue. Really like it. So that is going to fit in really nicely there as well. So the next thing I need to do is start to look at these walls, and I have come up with an idea, as I say, and I think it's what I'm going to do. So I've got blue paint, and as always I use the lid of the paint pot to a paint bottle. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to paint blue, but I'm going to paint blue on haphazardly so it looks like it might have kind of flaked off. Okay, so that's that. So I'm just going to paint that over all of these bricks, so it looks like it was rendered or something, but now it's not looking so nice. And then when that's done and dried, then I will glue this in place. I've not done any of the other things that came with this just yet. I actually been looking at them thinking I don't really want to. So the next thing I need to do is finish off around the base of the tree, put the skeleton in, and then I'm pretty much done. So I'm really close to finish, and I'm really liking how it's looking. It's really worked out well. So yeah, I'll get this painted, glued in, and I'll bring you along when I come to finish up. Printer's been going, and a couple of things have come off which have worked, and a couple of things came off that didn't. So the little printed, one of the fishing boats worked, the other one didn't, just was too small. These are the files are supposed to be printed out like 20 times the size. So I was always a bit nervous as to what would happen. But that's perfect actually. That really looks well. I've set it on, so I'm going to go and paint that and put that on. And then the gate for the cemetery. Now this is actually from 2 different kits, I think. I'm pretty sure it is anyway. But they're going to work absolutely fine, as you can see, except that one of the gates didn't print right. So I'm just actually now about to hit the printer again and print out another one of these. Hopefully it'll work this time, and then they can also be primed up, painted, and I'll cut down one of the lengths and glue these in place, and then it will look really nice. I'm very pleased actually that I've gone for this. So yeah, a couple of little bits and pieces that will be going onto the layout, and I will try to remember to put links to these files below because they're just from Thingiverse, so they're just free files you can download. Hey, the fencing has begun. So what I'm doing is I'm taking these painted up fence sections. I've put a single gate in. I was thinking about doing a double gate, but I think I'm going to leave it as a single gate. And I'm using the Perfect Pen glue, which is a gel super glue, but it's really nice and easy to apply. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little dot on the bottom of each of the fence uprights, and then putting some there as well, which is going to butt up against the gate, and then just putting it in place like so, and there we are. So I have all the rest painted up and ready to go, so I'm just going to clip that out, come all the way along here, and then do a return just out of shot at the end. And then yeah, that will be done. I have put the path in. It's quite obvious in person. I think you can kind of see that kind of pressed down bit. It looks quite nice, I think, just like people have walked, but not so many that they've actually destroyed the grass, but they've definitely pressed it down. That looks really nice. So I'm just going to get this glued in place now, I'll be painting up and doing the little fisher people and what have you, all the other things as well. I'm going to do the painting tonight, so I should have that done for tomorrow. So yeah, fencing time. Fredgeworth's Fishing and Boating. Now these are the 2 signs that I printed out. This one here is 4 centimetres, this one here is 2. And I'm probably going to use both, but I'm not totally sure. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut them out of their paper. This one I think I'm going to stick onto card backing, and this one I think I'm going to use straight away, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that because I'm going to stick it on now. So I'm just going to use a knife, just a hobby knife and a straight edge to cut these out, so I'll do that off camera, and then I'll show you exactly what I'm going to do with this one straight away. It really is tiny. So what I'm going to do is I've not glued it yet, but I'm going to use super glue to glue these little offcuts of cocktail sticks to make a little sign, little stand-up sign. I am that tight, I save even these small things. So I'll get that glued, that won't take me very long, and then we'll go and set it out on the layout. This is really quite close now. I do need to paint that skeleton though, I keep forgetting. I will do that after I film this. So what I'm going to do now is put some detritus and some scatter. And I've got these tea leaves. This is, I did a challenge, little friendly challenge. These are dried tea leaves from my morning brew. Still actually going on that, though not very actively. I should maybe push it a bit more to make terrain with your morning brew. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along, I'm just going to scatter this around in the corners, and then I'll drop her on some glue to hold it in place. I don't want to put too much on, but I do want it to be obvious as well, if you see what I mean. So it's a bit of an odd one, this. So yeah, so I might do this off camera because I want to like rotate and get in and whatever the angles. But that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put that in. You can see the effect that I'm going for there, just in the corner. I don't want to cover up the amazingly coloured tiles, but I do also want it to look a little bit abandoned. So yeah, going to get this done now. While I'm doing this, I'm going to put the colours underneath the tree. And I've thought about this quite a long time. I've got these multicoloured homemade flocks, and I'm just going to scatter these on. This is a very colourful piece and I want to roll with that. So yeah, just going to put a couple of these in, and I might even put some of the tea. It's a little bit too bulky. How I'm gluing this down is with a little spray of alcohol, just a touch, and then get the dropper and drop it on, and you can see it really soaks in well. And what I'm going to do while I'm doing this is glue the tree in place as well. So I will do that off camera. I'm going to have to go and get some glue. I'll dip it in PVA and drop that in the hole. But yeah, so I'm going to carry on with this, building up this detritus and waste. I am thinking about putting a bit more greenery on it, but I'm not sure, so I might leave that for tonight. But yeah, this will be another couple of little scatters, and then it'll be done. And there it is, the sign next to the gate, which is really cool. So I've not glued it yet. I've just set it in place. So what I'm going to do is put some super glue on those prongs and then just glue it in there, and it's going to look great. So the other sign will probably be put in place as well, and I'm thinking about having that kind of prominent. Let me zoom back out a little bit more than that. Kind of prominent around maybe here, so that it's visible from maybe even here, so it's visible from the square, so that would be like advertising and that sort of thing. But this is the entrance. So so yeah, glue that in place, and yeah, we're really making some good progress on this. Slower than last week, but yeah, it was a bit manic last week. So yeah, it's really good to see little bits of progress coming on, and the boats and what have you are being painted, and the downstairs should be finished in the next day or so, and then I can really wrap this area up, which is probably the last area I'm going to do. I'm going to obviously need to do the ballasting up to here as well, and then think about, I really need to do the station. Me and Quinn keep talking about it. We'll get to it. So this is fun detail work. I'm gluing the skeleton together, and one of the issues I had is that all of the legs are either running or walking or whatever, and sitting down didn't work. So what I've had to do is actually cut the leg in half and then glue it back together again. And I just thought I'd quickly talk that through because it was quite a fun, horrible, nasty process. So what I had to do was first of all attempt to use my super thin to glue it, which worked okay, held it in place. And then I dropped on the filler that I use, that I really like, that was recommended to me by Brushstroke, who actually I need to get in touch with. I've not spoken to him for a little while, called Mr. Dissolved Putty from Mr. Hobby. So that's the stuff there. That's what I've used. So then I dropped a little bit of that onto the joint, and that has worked really well. So this leg here, the right leg, is actually been cut and then glued back together, and that he will now sit nicely in place where I want him to. So I'm going to put arms on, not sure about feet, and then go and paint him up, and then he'll be ready to go on the diorama, or on the playing piece, because it's not a diorama, this one. I got this to a colour I liked, and it took a couple of applications of different paints, including even going as far as like a mustardy yellow like that to really bring out some highlights. I'm pretty pleased with how it looks now, but it wasn't just the one application that I did on video. But I'm happy, and that just shows, just keep playing, don't worry, just keep playing until you get the result you need. There's no need to stop just because you think you can do it with one colour. So if I zoom that in now, you can see that that's got quite a nice kind of varied look to it without being boring and without being overwhelming. It's still very dark, but it's got the light patches, and I'm very pleased. Anyway, that's that. So what I'm now doing, as you can see, is I've got my tufts and other things: Serious Play, Geek Gaming, Random, probably Games Workshop, not sure. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make use of tufts to finish this off. I've decided I don't want to do any static grass, and I don't want to do any flock. I want to leave the dirt as it is, and I want to just put some of these tufts in place just to kind of highlight some areas. And I might even put some of these wheat bushes in from JTT Scenery just to see, just to kind of make it look dead and what have you. So what I'm going to do now, I won't film because I'm going to be moving it around. It won't be very easy for me to film. But what I'm going to do now is put these in place and fill up the base as I want it, and I'll bring you back when I'm done and show you what it looks like. And then we're just left with the smoke coming out the top, which I will do last. So anyway, very pleased to be getting this close to completion now. So here we have the little blocker that goes on the outside of the tunnel, and I've said for a long time that I wanted to put some briars or some brambles on it, and I picked these up a long time ago, and this is what I'm going to use, which is Briar Patch Medium Green FS638 from Woodland Scenics. And basically what it says to do is to pick them up, kind of tease them out some, and glue them on, which does kind of sound logical, I suppose, but it's quite tangled, and I think I'm going to need to seal it quite a lot. So what I'm going to do anyway, I'll do a little bit of this, and then I'll do the rest off camera. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some PVA along the top. So let me just apply that now with my finger, which is very silly, but also I haven't got enough on the plate, so let me just cover the top of this with PVA, because that's what it says to do on the instructions, and I actually did read the instructions this time. So spread that out a little bit, again with my finger, which is a very bad idea. Don't do that, because otherwise, if you do this, then the briars will stick to you. But hey, whatever. There we are. So cover that with PVA, cover yourself with PVA, and then what we'll do is we will press this down in. Now what I'm expecting to do is, once this is dried, basically I'm going to come along with my alcohol and my watered down terrain glue, and I'm going to seal it all in place, and I'll do that multiple times if need be. So yeah, hopefully this is going to look nice. I'm not convinced yet, but like I say, once it's held in, I think it'll be okay. So this is going to be a very, very quick process now. Leave it overnight and come back to it tomorrow and put some more glue on. And hopefully that'll be enough. So there we are. We've got a nice kind of tangled briar patch there now, haven't we? That looks okay. So I'll leave that to dry now, and then like I say, tomorrow I'll come along, alcohol, put a load of the watered down PVA on, leave it to dry again, and that should hold it all tight. So yeah, using things for the first time on camera. That's my little thing, isn't it? So I've been thinking about this while not working on it for a little while, just let it settle in my head and try and work out how I'm going to do it, because this is a complete departure on something I've done before. I want to have this suspended. I don't want it to go too high. I want it to be still a shelf layout or shelf display, but I do want this to be in the air. I do want them to be flying, which I don't know how I'm going to do. And I've had some thoughts. Like I said, I've been really considering it and mocking it up in my head virtually, and I've now decided to pull the shelf out that's going to go on, which is this, and actually lay things out. Now the size of the shelf is almost perfect to just about fit the ship with the with its towing dinosaur, Quetzalcoatl, there we are, that's the name, and yeah, so it fits in almost perfectly, which is really good. Now what's going to happen is the Quetzalcoatl is probably going to be kind of like flying and trying to lift. So I want to have the ship pointing down, and then the Quetzalcoatl will be kind of flying up as if it's in distress. Then over here we have dude who is going to be, having been shot, going to have an arrow and will be falling off the side of the ship. So that will be in the midair. We then have the attackers. This is where it gets complicated, because I want to have one of the attackers here. I've got this other one here, which is, I would think, probably going to be coming in maybe even from over the top, and that is even more complicated to do. Don't know how I'm going to do that at the moment. And then finally I've got the one which is who is in mid-air, and I probably want to have the, so this is going to be quite complicated as well, because we'll have the I mean, I can maybe glue her onto this with one foot, but I was thinking about having her in mid-air and having like the so she's jumped off of her pterodactyl to kind of try to get onto the ship. So those are the external elements to the ship, and I'm thinking about wire, and I'm thinking about maybe using polyfiber or something to do clouds, and to make a and so I can hide some of the wires. I'm not going to hide them all, and I'm not going to panic too much, but these ones will almost certainly be able to be done with wire. Now this clearly won't because it's heavy and bulky. So what I might need to do is build a framework of or a cradle of wire struts to hold it on, and then pack those around with the polyfill, which might not be great, but that's all I can think of. I'm not sure how else to do it, to be honest. The only other thought I had, and I've been thinking about this as well, is that I might print a backdrop off of sky, and then potentially I can buttress the backdrop, make it quite solid, quite thick, and maybe put a raft for it to sit on, which when you look at it from this side you wouldn't be able to see. So maybe even drill holes in the side of the ship and actually put like bars across. I'm not sure how I would do that. So anyway, there we are. It's not gone completely dead. It's still being worked on. It's just been worked on virtually in my head, and I didn't want it to like go too stale and you think I'd forgotten. What I also need to do, of course, is populate the ship. So that might be the next thing I actually can do, is stick down the stuff which is being taken, so all the barrels and boxes and what have you, and put the defenders in place. Though, having said that, I kind of need to know where the attackers are coming from and have the whole thing so I can dress it properly. So maybe not. Don't know. Anyway, it is ongoing. I am working on it. It is a big project. It's a really, really complex one for me, and I need to resolve a lot of questions before I can actually start to really glue things down. But yeah, I think I'm making progress, and I will look forward to having another update for you soon. So we've had the razor saw out and the snips, and I've deconstructed the fence, which was relatively easy. This is a great tool. Don't use it very often, but when you need it, it's just perfect. So what I've done is I've separated out, you can see I've brought in a wooden block to chop on as well. So I've separated out the this length here. I've cut this section out the middle, which is on the floor over here. And what I'm going to be doing is making it so that the gate is open. So this side is going to be stuck there, and then I have a partially open, not quite fully open one that's going to go here. So one thing I'm aware of is all my gates at the moment are shut, and that's not necessarily how I want it to be across the whole layout, so I wanted to play with this a bit. So that's how it's going to be. So what I need to do now is glue this piece to there and this piece to there, and then I can take it over to the layout and I can actually stick down these fences around the cemetery and the church. So that's worked really well, and the funny thing is, and this is a complete accident, is these uprights are actually the same design as for the fence, and they came from 3D printed land. So yeah, I didn't mind that, because the pillars on the either side of a gate can look different to the pillars on the rest of the wall, but accidentally by purpose I got it right. So there we are. So I'll finish doing this. It's been quite easy, like I say, razor saw, snips, and just cut very quickly. So I'll get this glued together, and when this is all glued together, I'll bring you along when I fit it on the layout. Right, that's just set in place again, not glued yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this off camera because it's going to be really fiddly as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the bead PVA on the bottom of this section here at the back, that kind of angled section, and glue that down. And then when that's glued down, I'm going to run a bead of PVA on the bottom of this one and put some super glue on the end, and then stand here and hold that for a bit. So that'll be that. And then when that's glued down, when that's done, then I might even do this first actually. I'll run a bead of PVA on the bottom of this one and set that one in place. And then that's it, which is really cool. I really like how that looks. It's just like totally and utterly far better than I ever expected it to be. So yeah, very, very happy. So yeah, gotta get that done. And oh, something else that's happened while I've just been kind of working around little things is I've put this display up. Oh, if it's going to focus, come on, there we are. So as I said, I was going to put the larger of the signs over in that corner there where it would be visible from the square, which it is, and that is done in the same way as the last, except that I pasted it onto some board, onto some display board, just so it's a bit thicker, not just paper, and then I've glued on some toothpicks and then stuck that in place. And the other final thing to show you actually, and this is still early days, and this is probably what I'm going to focus on next, is we've started to dress the lake. So I have two kind of like rigid inflatable type here, and then over there, oh, it's not going to focus, I have, there it is, I have a little fishing boat, a little fisherman on it. So that's pretty cool. So anyway, yeah, little bits of progress. Finish off this church, and then what I'll do is I'm going to need to start to dress this area. So put some trees and flowers and stuff in, and then that area will be done as well. Oh, I forgot. I did something else as well. I've been doing little bits and pieces, but just not running the camera. Oh, move the glue bottle out of the way, it's in the way. So what I've done is I have put some nice flowers along the edge of this part of the rough area, just to kind of like prevent people from driving on the grass, really, because, you know, people do love driving on the grass. Yeah, little bits of progress. Printer's running in the background, so this will be a quick clip. I'm happy with this for now. I'm going to unclamp and then cut it out, and then what I'm going to do is come along with the same Africa paint and paint the two sides that are currently got the excess on, and then I will stare at it because it is now Thursday, so I have a couple of days, so I'll stare at it, and if I think I want to add something more or change something, then I will. I was considering some greenery or something kind of like growing over the walls, but I'm not sure, so I'm going to stare at it for a bit. This could be it done, bar having to cut it out, which I'll do right now. I went and found a really nice picture of the sky to use as a backdrop for this, and I've printed it out a couple of times on the laser printer, one 2x2 and one 4x2, I think, or 3x2, but for some reason my printer was printing very stripy, which is a bit disappointing. I'm going to have to look into why that is, but they're really not good enough quality. I wouldn't have minded cutting them up and pasting them together and what have you, but they're just not good enough, particularly with how awesome I want this to look. So what I've done is I've contacted Sean from Sean's Bits Box, which if you don't subscribe to his channel, go on, do so. He's awesome. He has a large format printer and does lots of awesome prints, and so I've sent him this picture, which I found online for free. I'll link to it below, and he's going to print that for me and send it over. But what that does mean, of course, is that this is going to have to wait, because until I've got that backdrop, until I know how I'm going to mount everything, as I've said, I can't really proceed. So I have done, forgive the mess, I have done a little bit of kind of like prep work in terms of where things are going to sit on this ship, and you can see it's going to look really well, I think. And we've got the two, so we've got the boss man can stand back here, and there's space for like the warriors and what have you to be on the deck. So there's plenty of room with that much baggage on there. I do want to get this one on as well, and this one on, particularly one of these two, but I need to clean the base up, but I'm not going to glue that down until I've got everything arranged, so I'm really stuck. So what's going to happen is this is going to have to go back onto the pile and wait for this backdrop to arrive. So I'll pick up another project in the meantime and just wait until all the materials are here. But yeah, I'm pleased to have actually kicked on a bit with this and shared a little bit of the progress. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I've talked about it, but yeah, so it's probably going to be another few weeks until we get back to this again. For the past few weeks, 10 days maybe, I'm not sure. Feels like ages, but it's probably not as long as it feels. I've been printing out this 3D print here. Now this is from a Patreon I'm a member of called Valkyrie's Playground, I think it is. I will link to it below. It's well worth joining. It's quite new. I think I was actually Patreon number 2. And it's part of my push to kind of widen my interests into more sci-fi and what have you. This is the 3-month Patreon reward. And as I say, it's taken a long time to print. You can see it's quite a sizable chunk. If I give you some scale, here is my hand. Now, I didn't have to print it all, but I have, so I might actually end up with 2 of these because I didn't realise that this is for the open one on the ground, and this is the same part but closed up, which is pretty cool, but I just didn't realise at the time that I was printing it, and it's fine. I can make use of it, it's not going to go to waste. So what I'm going to try to do, what I'm going to have to do is fit this together. Now, it does come with a very, very good graphic to show how things fit, so I don't have too much worries about that. However, I do have some issues with the joining points, so that's not totally flat, it's going to have to be ground down, and this one was the one that printed the least well. You can see that there's some flaking going on here, but I can paint that in and cope with that. But the worst thing is that the key here dropped, so the bottom of the key dropped there, so that's going to have to be ground out. So there is going to be some work to be done to clean up and tidy up to get it glued together. Not sure how much of that was my fault or not, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Everything is printed out really, really nicely. It was all pre-supported, apart from that one issue here. You can see this is the one that went the worst. I had the supports inside were rattling around, so I spent about 40 minutes clearing them out, which wasn't very easy. But I think they must have come loose in the print because that's bowed quite badly. So it could be that I have to shave all of that off and glue it. So I'm gonna aim for this video to be a little bit of a how I tidy up a huge print like this, and then a very quick painting result. I'm not going to go into the painting, but it's going to be about the tidying up. So literally 3 minutes ago, before I started filming, this piece here was the final piece which I printed, and I've just finished curing, so you can see that there may be some cleanup on that as well. So yeah, so I'll get myself straight and then bring you along for the cleanup, show you how I'm going to do it. One thing I want to say right up front is that if you're grinding down resin, you must be in a well ventilated area with good personal protective equipment. So have a very good ventilator, but I would say don't just wear a mask, don't just wear a breathing mask. Be ventilated, so be outside or have a fan blowing towards an open window, because the temptation with a ventilator, with a mask, is to finish doing what you're doing, so grinding, and take it straight off. And if you're grinding, then there will be stuff in the air, and then you risk potentially damaging yourself. So I will be back with the next part of this video when I get to it. It should be very soon, hopefully in my time, because I really want to get this done, and hopefully this is a learning process for me and for you. This is now ready to be cut out of its cardboard, and so this is the part that probably is the most annoying and probably might put people off this method of doing preventing warp, but it works so well that I just put up with it. If you don't use quite such thick basing cardboard, then it's not as much of an issue, but you just want to come along with a sharp knife, not scissors, because if you do scissors you will cause it to crack, and just kind of like trim off the edge like that. So yeah, it takes a bit of time, but the results are worth it because you'll have a really well based piece of terrain that won't warp, and will be really hard wearing. Just be careful when you're doing it. Careful where that sharp knife is going. So I'm going to get that done, and I'll take some photographs when it's finished so you can see what it looks like. Next thing to do on this is to make this a little bit more full of life. Now, I've ordered some more figures, some fishing figures and what have you. I did, as you know, try to print some out, but my printer just isn't quite sharp enough for that detail. I need a 4K printer, I think, rather than 2K to print like rods and what have you. So I've just ordered them. And they'll be coming in the next week or 10 days or however long it takes for them to arrive here. So I'm not going to go too overboard at this stage, because until that stuff gets here, I'm not 100% clear on how it will look. And for that reason, I'm also not yet going to do the reeds and whatever else I might do on this edge. But what I do think I need to do is put something here just to mask that hole, and potentially put a little bit of brambles and stuff just along this section here. So I'm going to make use of the same stuff as I did for the pull out for the tunnel. So I have the briar patch, I have the two types. I used the green on the on the tunnel pull out. I also have the brown as well, the dry brown. So I'm going to do a mix of that, and I'm just going to put it along over here. So kind of in this corner and coming along this back wall and over on the other side of that fence there as well. So I'll get that done. I won't film it because it's going to be like lots of faffing around. What I might also do is put a couple of trees in. But I'll bring you back when I've done and show what it looks like. So that's done. I've left this here to remind me. Goodwood Scenics is where the tree is from. Anyone that knows me knows how much I love silver birches, so putting the silver birch there was really cool. So I've just put the brambles and what have you. I've left a gap here, and obviously people will be able to walk along the bank. I realised actually that I shouldn't be walling it off completely, but that's going to be fine for now. Once I've got the rest of the detailing for here, I'll come along and do some more of the like brambles and bushes and trees and what have you. But let me move the camera down to show you what I'm going to be working on next, which is some people in the playground over by the school. So these are models left over from a build I did for the Encounter Terrain 10x10, which then got delayed and got finished relatively recently. A really, really cool diorama I'm very proud of, and if I remember I'll pop a link in the corner of this so you can watch the video. But these were bought for that, and I've got these ones left over. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and put them over there in that playground, playing with a female teacher watching, which is here. So we've got 3 girls in school uniform and 4 boys. So that's going to be a really good number to put onto the playground. So I'll get that done now, and then I'll show you what it looks like when it's done. So there we are. We have, actually one's a little bit crooked, I have to go straighten them up. But we have some kids playing in the park. We've got one guy standing over by the tree and the teacher just here, just on the edge of the school. So pretty pleased with that. Just a little bit of life. It's nice to be finishing this off. I have just heard that Angela and Rosie are going to be on a flight. Yay! So we're very, very, very pleased and relieved about that. So just a final push to get this done before they're back so that Rosie can really enjoy it. I've got a couple more things I'm going to add now. I think the next thing that I might do is come over here and put this static grass at the back here, which I keep forgetting to do. So I'll just quickly get that done, it won't take me very long. And then I have one more thing to do on camera for this clip, which is going to be to put some pigs in the farm. So in the back here I've got some pigs, and I need to make a little enclosure and have the pigs, because you've got to have Curly on Apple Tree Farm. It wouldn't be right without Curly. And there we are. We have pigs in the backyard of Apple Tree Farm, including one tiny one who is obviously Curly. I've done another little bit that I've been putting off or just not doing for ages. I've actually finally put the fence across the top of the tunnel at both sides, so you can see there's one there, and if it focuses there's one there as well, which is good because that was looking a bit dodgy for me. But getting the pigs in is brilliant. That was something that I'd forgotten I had them actually, to be honest. And I was thinking, I better order some pigs so I could do that. And then while I was looking through for the people to populate the town, and there's going to be plenty more of that, by the way, so don't worry. Plenty more, loads to paint up actually. But while I was looking through those boxes, I found them, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll put them on. So that was good. So tomorrow, Rosie and Angela start their journey home, and in a couple of days they will be here to see this. So I have a very small amount of time, 2 days left to put a little bit more effort in, which I'm going to do obviously. But yeah, very excited for Rosie to see this. This has been cut out and there is a white line around the edge, which isn't ideal. So I'm going to come in just with some of my, it's a burnt umber, raw umber even, raw umber. And I'm just going to touch that up, just with a little brush. So we just come along and paint the edge. And that will help it to finish off. So yeah, just a little touch. And it's done. So yeah, pretty pleased to have finished this. Pretty pleased to have saved what, when I came back from holiday, I thought was basically destroyed because it exploded. But you can barely see the cracks now. And I think it looks quite nice. It's a bit off kilter, off balance, but that just makes it look a bit, you know, unique. It'll be really nice on the tabletop. So I'm going to continue doing that around all the rest of the edge. And then that really is officially... Oh, and that's not done. Wow, what have I forgotten here? What have I forgotten? I have forgotten the smoke. So I better do that next. So, so I'll paint the edges of this and then we'll do the smoke and then it's done. Oops. Well, there we are. 45 minutes. I didn't think it was going to be that long. It has been a busy week. It has been a good week. It's been a better week than I remember. And that often happens. And I'm very pleased mostly with that model railway. Let me know what you think in the comments below. If you've made it this far, thank you so much. I really appreciate you people that continually watch and continually comment. And if you're new, say hello below. I'd love to hear from you. And I do reply to all those comments. And yeah, I really appreciate you making it this far. So I'll wrap up, as I always say, by saying please stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.